Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Good evening. No, come on, we can do better than that. African American people are call and response people. Good evening. That's a lot better. My name is Dr. Keith Dempsey, and I am your MC for the 4th annual Young, Gifted, and Black program. Give yourselves a hand for being here. As I said, this is not the 2nd annual, it's not the 3rd, it's the 4th. This is becoming a tradition in this community. Becoming a tradition. In the spirit of tradition, I feel that it's highly appropriate that we recognize our ancestors and our elders by the singing of the Black National Anthem. So please stand with me as Tiffany Dempsey sings the Black National Anthem, accompanied by James Mullen.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicings rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Before you sit down, we are a very spiritual people. And I need to make sure that the spirit is right before we go on. So listen, if you are here to celebrate these children, if you are here to encourage these children, I need for you to, for the next 20 seconds, clap your hands, stomp your feet, get buck wild. Indeed. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, indeed. All right. Have a seat. Have a seat. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. You all, the media tells a story about our black kids. The media will tell you this: you're not good enough. You can't achieve. You won't make it. The Nigerian writer Chimamanda Adichie warns against the danger of just one single story. Today we tell a new story. You are good enough. You can make it. You will achieve. You see, this is why we have this program, Young, Gifted, and Black. We need this program here, not only in Portland, Oregon, but all across the nation. So I'd like to thank you for coming and supporting your kids, their education, and this program. Give yourselves a hand. So at this point, I'd like to bring to the podium someone who has supported this program from day one. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please show your love for our Superintendent of Portland Public Schools, Carol Smith.
And it is my great pleasure to welcome you all here tonight to honor our honorees at the 4th annual Young, Gifted, and Black. And I will tell you, this is one of my favorite events of the year, because part of what we're doing is honoring individual students who have found exceptional success in Portland Public Schools. But in telling the stories of our honorees here tonight, we're also providing inspiration to Black students across Portland Public Schools. And I am totally excited to present the honorees here to you tonight, and also to welcome all the families and our teachers and principals and leaders of the schools who have nominated these students to represent the kind of success that our students are finding here in this district. So with that, please join me in one other round of applause for our honorees, because you are going to be wowed by their stories. welcome, and enjoy.
All right, moving on. It is my pleasure and my opportunity to introduce to you our keynote speaker. But before I do that, I need to let you know I'm feeling a little flush, a little tired.
Don't let anybody take.
I'm hearing things. I thought I heard Martin Luther King. I'm a little sick, but I don't want you to worry about me because as it relates to our keynote speaker, there is a doctor in the house tonight. Dr. Alicia Moreland Kapuya grew up in Portland, Oregon. Y'all, she's one of our own. She attended King Elementary, Tubman Middle School, and yes, that blue and gold, Jefferson High School. The summer of her junior year at Jefferson, she won a fellowship with the National Science Foundation that took her all the way to Alaska to study global warming. In 1998, she represented her high school as the Rose Festival Queen. Dr. Alicia graduated from Stanford University with a Bachelor's of Science in Biological Science and a minor in Urban Studies. Her sophomore year at Stanford, she won a fellowship to study at the National Institute of Health. She went on to graduate from George Washington University School of Medicine in 2007 with a doctorate in medicine. She's an MD. From 2007 to 2008, she worked as director of a large mental health organization here in Oregon. She was appointed to the Governor's Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse Programs. She's a board member for Cascadia Behavioral Health. She is currently completing a 4-year residency program in a subspecialty training for psychiatry at Oregon Health Science University this June. She is currently developing and implementing a national model program here in Oregon called Healing Hurt People. In other words, y'all, this sister is bad. Years ago, I first met her when she was a student in the Self-Enhancement Incorporated program. I remember her drive, I remember her energy, I remember her enthusiasm, and I recall saying to myself, this young sister is going places. And she did. But that's not the beautiful thing. The beautiful thing is that she did go places, and she came back to the community that served her so she can serve it. So ladies and gentlemen, with all of your energy, with all of your enthusiasm, show your love to our very own Dr. Alicia Moreland Kapuya.
Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. It's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
All right. We had to get that played somehow, come sooner or later. What I didn't know about now Dr. Keith Dempsey is that he's a Southern Baptist preacher. I didn't know that was one of his new form talents, but I like it. I'd like to thank Rayco Williams and Portland Public Schools for inviting me to come out today to talk to all of you about what it kind of means to be young, black, and gifted. One of the things that came to mind as as Reiko asked me is I said, you know, this word talent comes up quite a bit. And it's something that people used to say to me all the time because and I know people say this to you, it's sort of awkward. I want to turn this one on, and I tried to turn it on. Where's Danny? Could you help me turn? Because I feel like I got my back to you, and I don't like that. So I want to try to move around a little bit. Of course. Okay, we'll just snap this on.
Perfect. And then I can go and pop it.
Okay, or I'll just hold it. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me okay? So one of the things that I'm actually going to step back here just so I can see everybody, because I don't like the idea that I have backs to me and all of that. And we're actually just going to go ahead and, if we can, just close that up. Perfect. Thank you. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, just so it's not gleaming in my eye. All right, so one of the things that I was thinking about in coming to address you all today is this idea of what it means to be talented and what it means to be gifted. Because it's one of the things that was always said to me, oh, you're a talented, brilliant little black girl. But it never really resonated with me until I went away and learned a few things. Because I think that you can be told that, and it doesn't always ring clear what that means, right? So if I were to ask, I don't want to put her on the spot, but I talked to Kiara a little bit here. If I were to ask her, what does it mean to be talented? She would probably have a different answer than her counterpart next to her. So I wanted to explore this a little bit today because it's important. So for me, I like to tell stories, and you probably have heard a lot, and a lot of people are usually impressed with all of the accomplishments, but I will say, to back up, that out of all those accomplishments that were read out to you today, my most proudest accomplishment is being a loving wife of 9 years, married to my husband, and a wonderful mother. So I'm very present. So those are really my most pleasing achievements, because I too hope to one day be sitting here and have my children be honored as being young, black, and gifted. That is my primary call, and the rest of it, the things that I do really spurs from that. So I wanted to say that. So I want to start out with a few stories to answer this question. Again, our core question is, what does it mean to be talented and gifted? So the best way I could do that is to tell stories, because I know people relate to stories. So I'll start out with this one. I was in my sophomore year of college, and there was a pretty huge storm that had taken place in Florida. And I have quite a few friends in Florida at the time. And the storm was pretty bad. A lot of my friends who were with me at college, their parents had lost their homes. It was a hurricane. And they had lost homes, and some people had lost lives. And I recall we had gone online to look at the damage that had been done to this as a result of this hurricane. And we were looking through, and we stumbled upon an interview that was online by this interviewer from NBC. And he was in a neighborhood in Florida that had a row of beautiful homes that all really looked the same. You know, sort of those nice homes that have nice manicured yards, and everything looked really beautiful and perfect. And there was just one row of houses that survived the hurricane. And then the houses across the street from it that literally before the storm, this was a beautiful neighborhood. All the houses pretty much looked the same. Yards were beautiful. Houses looked like they were firmly built. But the storm came and it wiped away this whole row of houses across the street. But the interviewers did something that I thought was rather astute. What he asked was, I wonder what it is about these row of houses that withstood the hurricane. And I thought it was a really good question, because this has really become my motto. So what he did was further investigate, and he had been asking people in the neighborhood, what is it about these houses? Is there something different about these houses than the houses across the street? And they said, indeed, there is a difference. And the difference was the houses that withstood 200-mile winds in the hurricane were homes that were built by Habitat for Humanity. So they found someone at Habitat for Humanity, and they asked, what is it about these houses? And the director said these two things. He said, we do not cut corners, and these houses were built to code. And so I thought about that, and I thought about in the context of what it means to be talented and what it means to be gifted. A part of it is you being a person that doesn't cut corners and is built to code. Because what I will tell you, let me tell you, because these are the stories that I like to tell stories, because I want you to be like, I don't know what she's talking about. She's talking about a hurricane in a house, and I just want to be one that doesn't get blown down. If that's what you get from it, that's cool. So the important thing to me that I took away from that was all of us may look the same in our talents, in our gifts. But it's really not about where we stand when things are really easy. It's when the 200-mile winds hit and whether or not we're able to withstand it. So a part of being talented and a part of being gifted, my young friends and fellow colleagues and future leaders, is being built to code, having some ethics, a firm foundation. And I know that you already have that because you're here. You're here, and your parents and the community and the family is here to support that. So I'm gonna say, bear that in mind. So that's story number one. And we're gonna tie them all together, right? Because I have the task of trying to accommodate the adults in the room and the teenagers in the room. So I wanna make sure we're hitting all angles here. So that's one story. Built to code, and we don't cut corners. That's a part of, we're answering this question. Again, the key question is, what does it mean to be talented and gifted? Alicia's definition, okay? So then I thought about, I have children. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we have a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and that's a large span. And one of the things that I have been blessed to be able to kind of know is this process of, how many of you have, well, you have children, so clearly you know the process that kids go through when they're learning how to walk. Can any of you, I see some smiles in the room, so you can recall that process. I watched my daughter recently, when she was about 15 months, she started this process of trying to walk. And as you know, they're clumsy. Their heads are big, bodies are little. Heads weigh more than the whole body. But all of you were at this stage. I was at that stage. So I like to try to remember developmentally, where was I, where I'm going. Because it helps you understand your trajectory, okay? So I was looking at this process, and I realized that as she was learning how to walk, there were so many times that she fell, but she got back up and continued to try to walk. And I want to remind us of this really basic process, because I think that we get to a point when we're talented and gifted, and even when we're not, that we fall, and some of us have a hard time getting back up. We get discouraged. But we learn to crawl before we walk, and we learn to walk before we ran. So there's a developmental process. And here's what I'm trying to get at with this idea of what it means to be talented. We talked about being built to code, not cutting corners. Now I want to talk about the process called success and failure, and understanding that failure is a part of the continuum of success. So here's what that means. When I fall, that teaches me that I need to make some adjustments in my step the next time I get back up. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It means that eventually I'm going to be able to run, but there's a process that I must follow in order to get there. Are you with me? Don't make me get to the Southern Baptist. Are you with me, folks? Okay. So now, we're building this story. Again, we're answering this question of what does it mean to be talented and gifted, which all of you are. So now, I've said, you're built to code, you don't cut corners, and it's okay to fail as a part of your journey towards success. You got it? Got it. Okay. So here is the third point, and really the last point, and then we're going to tie it all together. So when I was young, grew up in Northeast Portland, and I loved it. I loved growing up in Northeast Portland. One of the most wonderful experiences that I could tell you about. But I had the benefit, and I'm going to use Kiara again because I had a chance to talk to her. She said her grandma's here. Will Kiara's grandma raise her hand? Hi, Grandma. How many of you thank God for grandmas? I just love grandmas. So I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about my grandma, who is a woman of faith. And my grandma would get up, so she had five kids of her own, and then she ended up, as in many cases, she ended up helping to raise her grandkids. And I happened to be the beneficiary of, having my grandma be in my life and to raise me. Now, my husband loves me because I can cook a good meal. The reason he's been around for 9 years is because I keep him full and happy. But a part of it, my grandma used to get up, and she'd be up in the mornings, and I never really understood at the time, as I was in elementary school, she'd get up and she'd just be singing this song as she was cooking and kind of around the house. Now, many of you know I'm not trying to proselytize or make people Christians who are not, but my grandmother was a Christian woman, and she would sing often hymns. And one of the songs that she would often sing was an old Baptist hymn called "The Lord Will Make a Way." And she would just be singing this song, and some of the words were like this. It's sort of very poetic, so I'm just going to say some of the words because it means something. So the song goes sort of like this. Like a ship that's tossed and driven, battered by an angry sea, when the storms of life are raging and the fury falls on me, I ask the Lord, what have I done that makes this race so hard to run? And I say to my soul, I mean, that's deep, saying to my soul, don't worry, because the Lord will make a way. And she would sing it, and she has a beautiful voice, and I can sing too, but that's not tonight, you know. But she would sing the song over and over again, and I would say, why, Grandma, what, why, And it became clear to me when I went off to college, and I was in Palo Alto, and I was kind of in a sea of homogeneity, sameness, not a lot of difference, not a lot of diversity, and it was a great experience because I kind of knew who I was. I had a good sense, again, built to code, don't cut corners, What's the other one? What's the third? What'd you say? It's okay to fail. See, somebody's listening. Is that Miss Charlene Williams? All right, she's astute. That's right. All right, so it's okay to fail, right? So I've got these life lessons. So when I go to, and then I've got a song. I've got a song that can really anchor me when times get tough, because the seas did get a little reary. It got a little tough at times. Where you don't really know sometimes what's left from right. But I think it's that song and that faith. Now, that was my grandmother's song. I eventually had my own song, but it meant something to me. So here's my third point to you, and to encourage her soul. And sometimes she'd be crying, sometimes she'd just be happy. But the point is that it got her through, and there was some affirmation to her that no matter how bad it got, there was going to be a way made. And so I'm here today to tell you that out of all these accomplishments, which I thank God for, I know that I would not be here if it were not for my faith and my trust in God. And so there's opportunities that will be given to you, and you have to be prepared for them. So I do believe that I was given particular talents and gifts, but I am no fool, and I understand where they come from. So what I'm gonna say to you in summary, as we think about, again, I like to ask questions and attempt to answer them so that we can all follow, right? My initial question was what, class? Well, speak up, be confident. What does it mean to be? I want to hear from everybody. What was my initial question? Okay, so now here's what I'm gonna do. Because I know we've got some astute listeners up here. What was the first thing? And I'm repetitive on purpose. Young man with a mohawk, what was the first thing I said? What was the first two things? Speak up, stand up and speak up loud, because you're an honoree. You're talented and gifted. That's right, clap it up, support him. So what was the first thing I said in answering this question? We have a mic, you know what, even come up here, come on. You all right, you look nice, you're talented and gifted, it's all right. Just tell them what the first two things were, and I'll help you out if you need it. We are a village here. What were the first two things? Tell them your name, and then the first two things, did you remember them?
My name is Douglas. What was it? To be code?
Yep, built to code,
Built to code.
and we don't cut.
And
We
don't cut corners.
That's right. Can you say it again? Say it again with confidence. Say it one more time with confidence. One more time. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Don't
Built to
cut.
code.
Built to code and don't cut corners.
All right. Clap it up for him. All right. So number one, in answer to our question, built to code and we don't cut corners. All the houses may look the same, but when those 200-mile winds hit, it's really going to be those who are based on those principles, and their foundation is based on those basic principles, right? It means that there's no easy way out, right? Storms are going to come, that's for sure. But you want to still be standing, and I believe you guys have got the gusto. You got what it takes to still be standing when those storms hit. Okay, now I'm going to give somebody else a second hit. Young man right here with the knife. You want to get up and tell us the second one? No. Say your name.
Kiera, and it is okay to fail.
That's all right. Clap it up. All right. Good job. Now, I won't put anybody else on the spot because the goal was not to embarrass. It's just to get you all to start getting comfortable with the fact that you are who you are, and it's okay. Be who you are and be that perfectly. So the third one, and to answer this, was your song. Everyone should have a song. And I will say a song, and the song in this essence really represents, is a metaphor for faith for me. But I'll say a song to you, and you can interpret that however you will, but a song that will get you through. So as we reflect on these things, what it means to be talented and gifted to our class here, I want to say congratulations to you. I am more than willing to be a resource. I didn't want to talk too long because I know how it was being in these seats, and I get squirmish and I get tired of people talking. So I'm going to wrap it up, but what I will say is that congratulations not only to you, but to all of you, your family, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, uncle, aunt, brother, teacher, principal, mentor. You all matter. And I cannot wrap it up without saying, I see Ms. Anderson in the audience. Can you wave? She's probably one of, can you clap it up? Yeah, clap it up for her. She is probably one of the most brilliant people that I've ever met. When I was in Saturday Academy, they had these advocates for women in science, engineering, mathematics. She knows her stuff. Like, I've never been intimidated by people, but I'm intimidated by her. She's so smart. So I just want to say thank you. I remember those days working with you, learning from you, and so it's really great to see you. And so this is a part of what I'm saying about acknowledging those in your lives who have been helpful to you. And again, we're built to code. We don't cut corners. It is okay to fail. That failure is a part of the continuum of success. And have your song. Find your song. Okay? So with that, I'm going to say thank you, and you all have a good rest of the evening.
Come on, do better than that. She's one of our own. Not just Alicia Moreland Kapuya. We're talking about Dr. Alicia, all right? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I won't lie, doctor had me nervous there for a little bit. I thought she was going to call on me, so. I learned a few things. I got to change my song. My song was Computer Love. I think, you know, maybe I need to get a spiritual or something. Thank you, doctor. I appreciate that. All right about now, we want to recognize some of the parents and the families and the guests. Ruth Atkins of the Portland Public Schools Board of Education. Ruth, will you come forth?
Thank you so much. It's my great honor to be here tonight on behalf of my fellow members of the Portland Public School Board. This is an awesome event, as Carol said. Dr. Alicia already said it, but I just really wanted to add a quick word of thanks and acknowledgement for the parents and the family and the guests tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. As Dr. Alicia said so much more eloquently, but it's really all of you as family members, the parents, as friends, community members, and in the schools, the teachers, the counselors, and the principals, all of you who work hard every day to make sure that these wonderful students are the successes that they are. It's really you're providing that code, that foundation, and the structure of support and the system of support for these amazing students. So I just wanted to add that special word of thanks and recognition to all of you, and express the pride that we on the school board feel for all of these amazing young, gifted, and Black students. It's a thrill to be here and on with the program. Thank you so much.
Now is the time. Now we honor our folks. All right, show them love. Come on. Show them love. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I'm going to ask Rachel Williams, who is the visionary of this program. She's the founder of this program. She fought to make this program happen. You all show your love for Rachel Williams.
So I'd like to begin by thanking everyone for being in the room to support the guests on the panel, our 25 honorees tonight. I have the honor of being able to present the students with their awards. Before I do that, I would like to say that we had more than 138 nominations of young Black and gifted students throughout Portland Public Schools. This is our 4th year. We've had several hundred students that have been nominated, and if you keep in mind the number of students that are in PPS, we are thankful and fortunate to honor these talented students that are presented before you today. So what I'd like to say is we're going to have a little procession. We have a little bit of space. We wanted to make it more comfortable for you, which is why we have seating in this room. But what we'll do is, if Carol, if you could come forward, and Ruth, if you could come forward also, I will announce the names of the students, and then we'll have pictures taken of the students as they accept their certificates. Okay. Right here to the right there next. Okay, so the first student that we'd like to recognize is Cheyenne Montgomery. Cheyenne is in 8th grade at Irvington K-8 Elementary School. And I'd also like to turn your attention to the booklet, which gives Cheyenne's profile and narrative. We're very honored to acknowledge Cheyenne. Thank you very much. Okay. Next is Amelie Baker. Amelie is in 3rd grade at Skyline K-8 school. Okay. Kane Brock. Okay. Okay. Our next student is Kimberly DeSue. Okay. Our next student is LaShawn Emile. He's in 8th grade at Vestal K-8 school. Okay, our next student is pint-sized. She's right behind you. She's pint-sized. Torrance Darkus. She's in kindergarten. Okay, our next awardee is Douglas Goldsby with Open Meadows High School. Next is Jada McClendon, who's at Benson High School. We have another Benson student, Anthony Ross. And from Lincoln High School, Bona Namagabi. From Grant High School, Cade May. This student showed she was being a good student earlier. Kiera Renty from Grant High School. Okay, Maya Chimenti Poydras from Creative Science School. And from Markham K-8 School, Nabila Farah. From Buckman Arts Focus Elementary, Demir Collins. From Roosevelt High School, Leroy Brandon. From Roosevelt High School, Simone Frisson. From Cleveland High School, Simone Hudson, another Simone. From Franklin High School, Quinn Nottage. And from Winter Haven K-8 School, Keenan Jameson. Okay, we have some honorees who were not able to make it this evening. Dayana Kang Clark from Benson Polytechnic High School. Abel Getachew from George Middle School. Reuben Cottingham from Madison High School. And we have Isaac Kelly, who is here from Roosevelt High School. Lauren Steele is here from Jefferson High School. And then lastly, Dante Campbell from Alliance at Meek Professional Technical High School could not be here this evening. So please help me in giving a round of applause to all of the honorees this evening. Thank you. Thank you both. I want the honorees to remember that this is the first of many awards, as Dr. Alicia Moreland pointed out, and as her bio was read, this is just one among many awards that you'll be getting, so get used to this, okay? I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Johnny Lake. Dr. Johnny Lake drove up here from Eugene, Oregon. He is a colleague and a very good friend. He is a professor of education at Northwest Christian College and teaches some adjunct courses at the University of Oregon. And I mentioned that he drove here voluntarily from Eugene, Oregon, and you know how far that is, because he was so honored to be among the honorees and the guests this evening. So please help me welcome Johnny Lake with a tribute.
Thank you. We're going to get back here between the doctor and the preacher. So you guys pray for me. I am so proud to be here. And I come from the same tradition as Dr. Alicia. I was in the house with my grandmother. I don't remember my parents until I started school. And there's nothing wrong with that. My old grandmama went to 4th grade, because that's all they'd let a black woman do in her day. But she loved my little black behind. She told me, she said, "You're a pretty little black boy." She said, "Wish all my grandbabies was just as black as you are." And she said, "You're so smart." She said, "Study hard, you're gonna make a smart man one day." And she said, "You got pretty teeth." She said, "Brush them so you can keep them." So she was a practical old woman too. But Sister Alicia defined gifted and talented. But what is it to be black? What is it to be black, especially in this conversation we're having nowadays? Is it a skin color? No. Is it a culture? I want you to think about that. It is a culture, because the old people told me it takes a village to raise a child. This is the village. These are our children. This is the fruit of what we do. This is the celebration we all should participate in. So that's why I was willing to drive up here and be here, and I got a few words I wanted to share with you. This is for you adults, flowers and children. A child, like a flower, is a precious and delicate creation, given to us to brighten our lives and our world. Our children, like our flowers, must be handled with careful hands. We must work to keep them in rich and fertile soil and water them often as they grow. Rough hands and rough words should never come close to either. Both a flower and a child must be held gently and closely. The miracles of creation are many, but few are as precious as our flowers and our children. And these other two are for the children. This one was written for a 6-year-old boy, little chocolate little man, who started getting questions about why his skin was dark and that kind of thing. So this was written for him, but it applies to all of you children, black like me. Black is the night when the sun has gone to rest, cool and beautiful, like me. Black is the midnight sky, holding all the bright stars against its dark and deep chest, dark and deep, like me. Black is the tall ebony tree, used to make strong tools and lasting art, tall and strong, like me. Black is the panther that moves gracefully, swiftly, like black lightning, graceful and quick, like me. Black is the rare black diamond, hard to find, more precious than any stone, rare and precious, like me. Black is the berry that has the sweetest juice, black and sweet, like me. Black is the eyes, the skin of my people, kind and good, full of life and laughter, kind and good, like me. How many people came from segregation, where you went to school with all black kids? all black kids. That's the communities I came from. There were no white kids in the school. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, everybody was black. All the teachers was black, the principal was black, the janitor was black, the PE teacher was black. When you went in the cafeteria to eat, you rolled that little tray, you looked up, guess who you looked at? Black women. And they didn't play. They did not play. You didn't leave a mess in our cafeteria. You left a mess in there, they'd come to the classroom and get you. I want that boy, that girl, and that boy. Come on, you're going back with us. You cleaning the whole cafeteria. But this was written about my experiences in those classrooms. It's called Miss Riley's First Grade Class. In Miss Riley's funky first grade class, we learned German and French cuisines. We explored and saw the world in slick, colored magazines. We felt the strange power of poetry in the dark. We captured exotic creatures at the local park. We experienced the sound of piano and heard music by the note. Our ears were thrilled majestically by simple tunes we wrote. We traveled around the whole world, yet never left the room. We logged thousands of dream miles on an old dusty broom. We all learned to sing as one, and yet to sing alone. We learned to stand with the group or stand up on our own. We mastered the simple numbers and the common alphabet, but the greatest thing we mastered is most valuable to me yet. Miss Riley often told us, you are black children, that's true, but there's nothing in this world that can't be mastered by you. We started with grandmother, and I want to thank you again for the grandmother story. And I want all of you teachers and everybody to remember these grandmothers are powerful, powerful characters. Bring them into your school, bring them into your classroom, bring them to have lunch. Bring them to where our children are. Because my grandmother to this day is still the strongest influence in my life, to this day. She said, the man who pulls his nets too soon won't have any fish to sell. The boy who closes his books too soon won't learn his lesson well. So if you have a learning streak, be patient. Don't learn too fast. Because the man who walked a mile a day got around the world at last. Thank you.
All right, that's good stuff. I just got word, speaking of not cutting corners, Brother Dante Campbell didn't want to cut corners today. He joined the track team, and since he was on the track team, he said, I'm going to run. In fact, the brother took third place in the 800. So Dante, since you weren't here when we honored everybody, why don't you come on and take a picture with Rayco Williams? Y'all show your love for Dante. All right, now we're going to have some closing remarks. Sister Harriet Adair, are you here? All right, Sister Harriet Adair, y'all show your love. Sister Harriet Adair.
Well, thank you all, and thank you all. You know, I want you all to know you have done a rare thing. I want you to look out here and see all these people. Just remember that the superintendent came running down to have her picture taken with you. You notice she didn't run down here to have her picture taken with me, okay? And so I say thank you to all of you for a really great day, for gathering us all here. Thank you to your parents for creating these wonderful children and giving Portland Public Schools the opportunity to have them as a part of us. And thank you to the principals and other people who came here to support you, because the reason I'm hugging Alicia, I was her principal. I was her principal at King School, and I'm telling you, Alicia just shined. I luckily had a school full of shining stars, but she just shined, and I have seen her throughout her life as she's grown up. King School, when she was there, had the first class of dreamers, those kids that got those scholarships. And Alicia and that class is the reason that program existed, because they were dreamers. They dared to dream. So when you do great things, sometimes you create great things for others that you don't realize. And Alicia was a part of that, and she talked to you about that. And then when Alicia went to Stanford, she met Chelsea Clinton. And when President Clinton came here to Portland, he came with Chelsea. And I just happened to be in the room, and you know how people like Chelsea Clinton meet a whole bunch of people. And President Clinton meets a whole bunch of people. But when Alicia walked in the room, Chelsea greeted Alicia just like she greeted me. You remain talented and gifted, and what did she say? Don't cut corners, stay built to code, remember you can fail, find your voice, and you may find yourself walking with presidents, speaking with famous people, receiving your doctorate, and bringing your principal to tears. Congratulations. Good night.
We've come to the end of our program, and Sister Adair, I apologize. That's Dr. Adair. I apologize. Well, we're here. You all are young. You're gifted, and you're black. Believe you can achieve. Believe you can do anything you want with your education. Believe that you are powerful. And most of all, I want you all to believe that you can fly.
I used to think that I could not go on, and life was nothing but an awful song. But now I know the meaning of true love. I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. If I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. You see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. Oh, see, I was on the brink of breaking down. Sometimes silence can seem so loud. There are miracles in life I must achieve. But first, it all begins inside of me. Oh, if I can see it, then I can be it. If I believe it, there's nothing to it. Oh, I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can fly. If I believe I'm running through that open door. I believe I can fly. The talented duo, if you didn't notice, MC program happened today. Her name is Andrea Wade. She's in the back of the room. They were Wade in the back of